It's a phenomenal book, Born a Crime, and I'm not just saying that because I'm interviewing you. It is genuinely wonderful.
Thank you.
And there are so many things, as I'm sure the people in the audience that have read, and we'll do audience questions later on, will know that it's funny, in parts it's violent. What really strikes me is that really it feels like it's a tribute to your mother.
You know, when I started writing the book, I wrote it as it was my book. That's what it was supposed to be. I set out to write a book about my stories of me growing up, you know, my heroic escapades. And then when I got to the end of the book and I coalesced all the stories, I realized that my mom was the hero of my story. And I was just basically her punk-ass sidekick. One of my mom's most frustrating moments with me was the fact that she taught me to be logical. And she taught me to challenge her. You know, she taught me to challenge everything in life. And so when it came to religion, I was afforded the same leeway. She said, you must challenge me. You must ask me these questions so that I can go back and read the Bible and give you the answers. Don't just take what I say.
There are some wonderful examples of her belief that almost everything is a sign from God.
Yes.
Particularly when the car breaks down, the Volkswagen car that
Yes.
you've got. When the car breaks down, you see it as a sign that God's saying you don't have to go to church. She sees it as a challenge from God to prove her faith to get there on time.
My mother is as stubborn as she is religious. Once her mind's made up, that's it. Indeed, obstacles that would normally lead a person to change their plans, like, for instance, a car breaking down, only made her more determined to forge ahead. It's the devil, she said about the stalled car. The devil doesn't want us to go to church. That's why we've got to catch minibuses. Whenever I found myself up against my mother's faith obstinacy, I would try as respectfully as possible to counter with an opposing point of view. Or, I said, the Lord knows that today we shouldn't go to church, which is why he made sure the car wouldn't start, so that we stay at home as a family and take a day of rest, because even the Lord rested. The first night of the Daily Show was one of the few times in my life where I can remember everything. It's like, it's more than nerves, it's panic, it's a moment where that's where that doubt comes in. Everything came rushing to my head. You're a fraud, you're not funny, you're stupid, what are you doing here? You're dumb, this is America. Why are you even in this country? What are you doing? Go home. Do you get what I'm saying? There were all of these things, and then in my head I'm like, oh geez, what if I'm the Piers Morgan of the Daily Show? Like what happens now? I'm thinking of all these things, and it was so brutal. It's so much easier to shrivel and to just go, no, I didn't want to do it anyway. I didn't, just walk away, because then you never have to take on that responsibility. It was honestly one of the most frightening moments in my life. And just like many frightening moments in your life, once you've done it, you then go like, oh, this is not bad. And you get better at doing it, and you enjoy it, and you still get nervous, but you slowly grow into that space. And I'm glad I jumped off the edge, because it's been a fantastic ride. My gran is one of the funniest, wittiest, but she has like dry humor. Like I don't even think, sometimes I don't know if she's telling a joke or not. And it's so funny, and I can't tell, because she never betrays it with a laugh. And I said to my gran one day, I said, but Gogo, I said, why do you think English and Zulu is different to plain? Why don't you pray in whatever language? She said, pray in English. English is better. And I said, but that's not true. And then she said, but then why do white people have it so good? Then she says, clearly you can see their prayers are being answered. So we've got to get going. Pray there, pray. And so I prayed. Apartheid was about creating a world where, one of the things that was the most painful for me is realizing that, during apartheid, if you were a person who was my skin color, they called this colored, right? And colored, you didn't have the world, you weren't black, you weren't white. There was even a term in South Africa colloquially used, and that was in Afrikaans, they called it amper bas, which means you were almost the master. Families would be ripped apart either by their own decision or by the decision of the law. But that was the power of apartheid, is convincing people to blame the other for what is happening to them. My own grandparents, they loved me, and they never said that to me. But for instance, my grandfather, when we would drive around, always made me sit in the back of the car because he used to say, the master sits in the back. My grand said, she said, ooh, she says, wait, Nombuyiselo. Ooh, Trevor is so naughty, he's so naughty. Ooh. And my mom says, yeah, you must beat him then. What do you mean if he's not? Yeah, you must beat him. That's what he's for. You must hit him. And my grand was like, no, Nombuyiselo, I can't hit him. I can't hit Trevor. I can't hit him. With black children, I know how to hit them. I know I hit them, and then I know what's going to happen. With Trevor, I've seen when you hit him, he becomes blue and green and red and yellow. She says, I don't know what's happening. She's like, ooh, I don't want to kill a white child. My own grandmother, afraid of administering discipline because she feared that she would be breaking the law in our house. She didn't want to hurt a white child. You know, I remember one of the best lessons that stuck with me that my mom taught me was, she always taught me to share, and I hated her for it. Because as a kid, you know, sometimes I would have food or I'd have some sweets, and I remember one day there was a little homeless kid on the side of the road, and he was begging, and all I had was my sweets, and I was holding them in my hand. And he came up to the window of our car, and my mom gave him money. And she gave him the money, and then she said, don't you want to give him something? And I was like, oh, no, you handled it. And I was like, I don't have money. And she said, yeah, but you've got some sweets. Share the sweets. And I looked at the kid, and I looked at her, and I was like, yeah, but it's my sweets. And she said, give him the sweets. And, you know, I looked at, and I was like, but it's my sweets. And then she did the most amazing thing. She reached into her purse, and my mom, like, loved licorice and, like, a bunch of sweets. And she pulled out a handful, like a giant handful of sweets. And she said to me, here, you can have these sweets. And now I was sitting there and I'm like holding my sweets, and then she said, here, and I couldn't grab, my hand wasn't big enough to take from her hand, and I was like, I can't. And then she said, you can't take the sweets. And I said, no, wait. And then she said, if you had two hands, you could take the sweets. I said, yes. And then she said, so how would you have two hands? And I looked at the kid, and then I realized, and I gave him the sweets, and then I had my hands. What my mom tricked me into realizing was, when you give, when you give, you have more room to get. You can get, and it's like, it's almost a selfish thing that I love doing, but my ambition is to help as many people in my world as I can. And sometimes people go like, you can't change the world. I'm like, yeah, just change your world. Just this world here. Just this. And if I can do that, then I'll be happy with myself.